So Boston was kinda a happy accident. I was supposed to attend a music festival up in Pennsylvania with my friend Melissa. The original plan was for me to fly to New York City, where I would meet up with Melissa, pick up our rental car, and be on our way to Pennsylvania. But the festival was cancelled and I had already bought my tickets to New York. Seeing as I had visited the Big Apple just a few months ago, I decided I'd just buy really cheap bus tickets up to Boston instead. The last time I visited Boston was almost 2 years ago. That time it was fall and I'd come up not only to visit friends in the area but also to spend Halloween in Salem. I still remember how awed I was by how beautiful autumn is in the Northeast. And of course you can't beat the architecture in Boston. Needless to say, I was in love. This time, I was here to visit my good friend Jill. I arrived in Boston on Thursday by bus just in time for my free arts and architecture tour at the Boston Athenaeum, a gorgeous private library at the heart of the city. Ever since its inception in 1807, they've been collecting arts and artifacts alike, and researchers often frequent the Athenaeum in order to take a look into times past. That night I met with my friend Lynn, a YouTube turned Instagram friend whom I've been meaning to meet up with for almost 2 years. Friday was my first full day with Jill and she wanted to share with me one of her all-time favorite parts of the city, a series of gardens, plazas, and public art pieces that connect Little Italy all the way up in the North End to Chinatown, the Greenway Park. After a full morning of non-stop exploration, I had the pleasure of introducing Jill to one of my personal favorite parts of town, Primark. For those of you not familiar, Primark is a UK-based department store that's sort of a mix between Forever 21 and H&M. Amazing quality pieces for very affordable prices. The first time I visited Boston about 2 years back was when they opened their first US location right here in the city. It's something of a tradition now that I stop by whenever I visit Boston. Saturday morning, Jill had work, so I had planned to meet up with some other friends. Apparently, that weekend I was visiting, they were hosting the New England Sand Sculpting Festival at Revere Beach. Since nothing screams summer more than some sand and sun, we packed our picnics and were on our way. For dinner, I checked out Yume Wo Katare, a little hole-in-the-wall ramen shop that Lita actually told me about around 2 years ago. The interior is tiny, seating only about 15 people at a time, and their menu only has 2 options, 2 pieces or 5 pieces of pork. But the thing you go for is the experience. Upon completion of your meal, you have the option to stand up and verbally announce your dreams to a room full of strangers. They keep the atmosphere completely positive, and I highly recommend this little shop. Just make sure to get there early to beat the lines. Afterwards, Jill brought me to one of her favorite cocktail bars, a speakeasy tucked away in a back alley appropriately named Backbar. Like Yume Wo Katare, this place is all about the experience. From what Jill told me from before my arrival, this place, unlike other bars that may get quite crowded, enforces their max capacity so it's never too noisy and you never feel rushed. The interiors and decor are very well curated and the drinks were quite good, which means a lot to me considering that I've never acquired the taste for alcohol. Typically by the 3rd day of any trip I'm usually pooped, and this one was no different. I knew I had to wake up at 2 AM that night to catch my 3 AM bus back to New York City, so I didn't want to do anything too exciting anyways. Jill showed me the rest of her favorite local recommendations and it was a super chill day full of talking, eating, and drinking. Oh my gosh, so the weather is actually perfect right now. It was predicted to actually rain all of today, so I lugged my really large umbrella along, but now I don't need it. It's like 70s, breezy, and I feel like my luck really turned around because every trip I've been on, it's always rained, and I don't think it's rained at all this trip.
It rained a little bit last night-ish.
It's not really, it was a drizzle. I really would not have that. So Oh, it's so nice. Boston was my first trip since starting my current job, and it was a much needed one. I had been in such a creative rut lately, but spending time away from home, meeting up with friends old and new alike, and being able to spend some time with one of my biggest source of inspiration, Jill, has definitely re-sparked my love for art and life. Thank you, Boston. You were lovely.